Hi everyone, we're going to continue straight. I don't know if you can find a seat over there or carry on your meeting outside. I mean, they can hear us. But please welcome to the stage Eric Zho.
Thank you.
Thanks once again for helping us get here and put this on. It's remarkable, so we're very happy to be here in Shanghai. Firstly, I just wanted to know a bit about your background, because I know you're not actually from China. So how does someone like you end up back here doing what you do?
I came here 12 years ago, obviously from New York City. I was working for Viacom before, at MTV, so on the television side. So I was brought over with Universal Music, and basically we launched with SMG, Shanghai Media Group, China's first reality show. It's called 我行我秀. Some of these people here, I mean, you're from Shanghai, you definitely know the show. It was the #1 show watched by over 100 million people at its height. And from there, we started getting to promoting concerts. So my partner, Steve Sabisma, we came together in 2009. And at that time, he was doing China West, which is one of the biggest Western music promoter in China. So we got into concert promotion. And looking at the market, in 2013, that's when we started going to dance music. And rest is history.
I mean, DJs have been coming to China for a long time. I mean, way back, I remember great images of, Paul Oakenfold on the Great Wall of China, Tiesto obviously coming here, Paul Van Dyke. But it never, a little bit like it didn't in America, between kind of 95 and 2005, it never really stuck in China. It never really took off. Why do you think that was? And what's changed now?
Those events are primarily brand driven. So you've got guys like Shivas, who says, we got to get into nightlife. We've got a bunch of POCs like nightclubs we're partnering with. Let's give them a show. Let's pack the house. Let's make them drink Shivas. So boom, you've got artists coming in and they're getting paid. But it's really not a scene yet at that point. It's not a homegrown scene where we have people dance in the audience and really enjoy the music. It's really just nightclub. Oh, Tiesto's there. Great. And they do attract a lot of expats. And those expats tell their friends, hey, you don't know what Tiesto is? Come and check it out. And from there, it's sort of viral, get the word of mouth out. I think back in those days, it's quite like that.
So let's talk specifically Storm. Tell us, how it started and where you are today. What's happened over the last 2 or 3 years?
In 2013, we thought about doing festival because we want something that we own. So we're not really just touring Elton John or Kylie Minogue, and they come and leave. And next time they come, I'm bidding against competitors, and all of a sudden it's overbid and everyone loses money, right? So we want to create something that we actually own, and it's forever ours. We don't have to overbid on this brand. So basically, we look at different type of genre, different type of festival from around the world. We look at rock, we look at pop, we look at all these sorts of stuff. But we end up coming to think, okay, well, what is not here and potentially could be here in China? And that's when Storm is born. And basically, we want to do something in a sector which is the opportunity is greatest, at the same time where we have less competition because no big players are there. And of course, with less competition comes the challenges whether or not people are going to pay for tickets. All right, so, and Storm first year was, financially was challenging. Let's put it this way. And I think for most festival operators and promoters out there, they probably would say the same. First couple of years is very difficult. As you build the brand, people recognize it. People have a lot of fun at your festival. Then it grows from there, year on year. And now Storm, it's fourth year, we sold out. And we sold out last year as well. So it's becoming one of those type of festivals that, as we organically grow, each year we're selling out our capacity. And of course, the capacity is controlled by the police. And hopefully each year they could give us more capacity.
Okay, was there ever a temptation at the beginning, particularly from your background, working in the wider kind of music arena, why didn't you just go and do a deal with EDC or Tomorrowlands or Ultra and work alongside them?
Well, at that time, the market is just 2013, and now, it's a huge difference. If we were going to license a brand and bring that brand in, we're probably going to lose our shirt on top of the license fee and plus poor ticket sale and all that stuff. So we decided to do something on our own and see how the market would respond to something like a dance music festival. And as it turned out, it was quite popular amongst the expats. So we actually know that. And Shanghai is the only city in China where you could say there's tons of expats, and there's easier to throw something like that here compared to, I don't know, Wuhan, the tier 3 cities, or Beijing, for example. And we didn't do it just because, number one, EDC, Ultra, all the brands that is well known internationally are pretty much unknown here. So why are you going to pay extra dollar just to bring an unknown brand into the market? It doesn't make any financial sense.
I mean, in the US in particular, those brands kind of defined the culture, the stop-start pattern of what happened in America going way back to the late 80s. The kind of culture that today was really driven by those brands. Do you think that events like Storm are basically creating the culture in China rather than, say, the club scene?
We're shaping the culture. I wouldn't say creating the culture. I believe dance music is created from the clubs originally. That's where the music is heard on a daily basis. And of course, you can see a trend, from China. On tier 1 cities, now they're all playing dance music. Tier 2 and 3, they still have singers going up, singing K-pop or Amando pop, and they're converting slowly. So in the beginning, when we did Storm, we actually had a lot of club owners come to us and say, "Why are you doing? You're competing with us," and things like that, right? But now, in hindsight, when they look at it, it's like, Eric, you actually helped the scene, because now more and more people like dance music, and thus they're going to nightclub more. So their business is going up. And on top of that, we close our festival at 10, so people are still not getting enough of the partying, so they go into after parties afterwards.
So you would say that the club scene has a bit impact on, the club scene is having an impact in terms of shaping the culture here?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
But I think we do shape it as well. We influence, because the marketing dollars and also the awareness that we put out in the market and the word of mouth that's resulting from Storm has given a lot more people an interest in the music genre and in dance music in general. So they say, where can I actually get access, where I could listen to this music or experience this music? And nightclub is one of the few places that you could go as well.
Okay. Another constant problem of new festivals in new territories is how you actually ensure that the festival becomes the star rather than you're kind of begging or reliant on getting a lineup together when these lineups are in demand all over the world. So what do you think is making Storm unique? What are you doing to make sure that Storm kind of is all about the experience of Storm, and it doesn't matter so much of who you have on the bill in the long term?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to have a festival where you rely 100% on the billing. Okay, then every year.
You've had your problems, haven't you, with people pulling out?
Oh yeah, we've got Avicii's pulling out. We've got Afrojack,
Right.
and they, miraculously, when they pulled out, no one refunded their tickets. So that actually is a testament on the brand itself, a Storm. For my take is that when you have a festival, and how to create a festival that people resonate. That is the brand I'm going to, because it give me this type of experience, is that when we created Storm, we gave it a DNA. Now, what is Storm? We have this big brainstorming session about what is the DNA of Storm, what is the festival about, and what is the story of Storm. I don't know if other festival promoters are doing this, but we did this because we want to create a very strong brand identity behind Storm, the festival, where in the future we could take this IP around to different sectors of the entertainment industry, film, television, gaming, etc. So we started out giving an identity, a DNA. Of course, throughout the years, we're telling our consumers that, hey, Storm is a bunch of aliens that came from Andromeda Galaxy, 2.5 million light years away, and boom, came to Earth and created Storm, all right? So that's sort of the backstory. And then in between, what could we tell them more about these Octarians, these species from the Andromeda Galaxy, how they came here. So we're still creating those. But right now, we set the groundwork for creating these more storylines down the path. Now, obviously, that's just one little place, thing that you could do. But I think it's most about the experience. When you walk into a festival, it needs to give you a sense of it's pulling you out of reality. You're not thinking about your work. You're not thinking about school. You're not thinking about even your girlfriend sometimes. You're just like, I'm here. I'm having a lot of fun with my friends, and this is just 2 days. And afterwards, walking out, I was like, wow, that just happened. I think if you give that, if you create a festival and operate it well enough to give the audience and the consumer that experience, people is not going to resonate with Avicii's of the world. They're going to think, this is a great festival. I'm going to come back again next year. And if you do this year on year, the brand value grows, and people is not going to go cancel on tickets or refund tickets when one of the headliners dropped out.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about your audience and how much you know about them. Where do they live, and how do you get hold of them? What are the dominant ways of marketing for you? What's the most important kind of social media platform?
Yeah. I think the audience is pretty similar to the West. I would say a skewed male audience. 15 to 25 prime, but actually most people that come to Storm is from 18 above, up to 35. And these people are internet savvy, and they definitely have more disposable income. I don't know why, okay, so compared to rock festivals. And how do we get to them? Obviously, social media is one of the most important, in fact, if not the most important mechanism that we go through. So we use Weibo, we use WeChat, which is the two most powerful social media. We partner with various different music streaming sites, QQ, Kugo, Kuwo, NetEase, Xiaomi, all of those guys. We partner with them. We create them as media partners. We even go as far as partner with IMAX theaters, where before the movie comes out, our TVC is rolling. And so that's more of a targeted marketing strategy. And then we also have a small team of guerrilla marketers. So they go into school campuses, and they flood the school campus with crazy costume because these aliens are coming to the schools. And this good photo op. And then basically you start flyering in the dorm rooms, in the cafeterias, put posters up. I think everybody does this, when you do a festival. And those are more targeted towards ticket sale. And then you've got the aerial bombs that you go out there. The TV commercials, which is the lowest conversion to ticket sale, but you kind of need it for awareness. You've got the bus billboards, you've got building billboards, you've got telephone booth, bus stations, inside the bus, inside the buildings, airport terminals. Those are marketing that, unfortunately, we cannot afford. So graciously, Budweiser, who's our biggest partner, they like to put ads there. And we like, thank you very much to put us, a part of that ad. So get us some awareness on the greater scale.
Okay. And we were talking just backstage in terms of what moves the needle for your audience musically. You were saying, and I was asking you about QQ Music, which from the Western point of view, we're starting to learn more and more about. But you said NetEase in particular was one service that you felt was resonating more.
There's a recent research that I was telling Pete backstage it's quite interesting, from 2013 and now, to a point where people say, what is EDM, to a point where I'm listening to EDM, the progression from that path. A study from actually research report released by NetEase had said that the number 2 highest streamed music genre on NetEase Music is now dance music. And I was like, wow, it has gone to that point now. Of course, in a bigger platform like QQ now is the biggest one after they acquire Kugo. It's still harder to find in-depth library of music just because they're not really focusing on it. Right now they're still mainly multi-genre and primarily focused on Mando pop. For them, we're still trying to see how do we get them to push dance music more, because when they actually push, that is when it becomes a mainstream phenomenon. And we do many, many things to partner with QQ, besides just say, hey, you got to check out dance music, we actually go beyond our means as a promoter. We put big collaborations together. For example, 2014, we put Avicii with Wang Lihong, who's got 40 million fans on Weibo. And that collaboration it's a Mandarin track. And it was aired on radio, on television, on internet portals. It was #1 track for a number of weeks. And then last year, we did one with Tiesto and Jane Zhang. And that track also hit #1. So every single year, as we put more of these type of collaborations out there.
Have you done one this year?
Huh?
Have you done one this year?
This year?
Yeah.
We have one, but we're announcing tomorrow.
Watch this space.
Yeah, it's a big one actually. So I'll just finish. So when you put these collaborations together, and you have the Asian pop star driving the fan base, listening to the track, and we're talking about exposure of not in the hundreds of thousands, but tens of millions of people in China, and sometimes if the artist is big enough, even hundreds of millions. So that actually has a broad, I say wide, mainstream appeal to people who had never even heard dance music before, and it's like, wow, what is this rhythmic thing that I'm listening to? I can't stop moving my body. And I'm researching about who Avicii is and his music, then related artists such as XYZ, and going in depth and finally understanding that there's a deep house element or tech house or different genres, subgenres in dance music.
If you're getting that many hits on these collaborations, are you under any pressure now from any of the services to try and get an exclusive? It's like, is QQ coming to you, trying to put pressure on you to give it to them first? Or
obviously, when you have a track that you're releasing, and of course, if someone says, listen, I'm going to help you promote this track, but give me exclusivity for X number of days or a week. We typically don't do weeks, but maybe we could do I think last year with the TSO track, we gave QQ like a 24-hour exclusive, because the internet is really fast. So during that 24 hours, the track trends heavily into the #1 trending track. And from there, because awareness is there, people start listening to it.
Okay. You mentioned WePio, which I'm fascinated with as well, because the impact, this is the Chinese ticket master, basically, who have come out of the cinema business. Are we talking about WePio, in terms of selling tickets here? Okay. Are you selling tickets? WePio, sorry. But they started out selling cinema tickets, but they're now having a big influence on your business. Is that?
No, I mean, WePio, we are partnered with myself, but they're still an up-and-coming ticketing platform. The biggest ticket platform in China, like the Ticketmaster in the U.S., would be Damai.
So is that where you're selling most of your tickets? It would be through?
We actually sell, most of our tickets online at a2storm.cn, actually, our own ticketing platform. But actually, the back end is being driven by another ticketing company.
Okay.
Because the reason why we do that is we have database. We know where our buyer is coming from, which city they're buying it from.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to touch on brands quickly. You've got a good relationship working with Budweiser. What do you look for in terms of working with a brand, and how can a brand help grow the EDM scene here in China?
Well, we're definitely looking for consumer brands that have a focus on the millennials. I think that's the first thing. Whether it could be fashion brands or obviously liquor and alcohol, right? Also cars. So when we identify a brand, what we do is we already know we need to research a little bit what they have done in the past, whether they have actually invested into music or not, and if they have, what type of music and who's their audience. So as long as their TA, target audience, is similar to our target audience, then I think it's a match. Now the second part is strategy. Now, whether or not the brand have the strategy to go into dance music, it's hard to convince, because sometimes the global strategy, as in the case with Budweiser, it's in their global strategy to really go into dance music, and I'm sure you've seen it from around the world. And in China, they want to own the music in all aspects, from nightclub to festivals to online music and all that stuff. So you will see Budweiser everywhere. And that's why I think it's a marriage made in heaven. But there's other brands that we look at. For example, this year, you were talking to Maggie, Adidas is our partner this year. And they've been looking at the space for a long time, whether you're going through, one of the Adidas Original or Adidas the brand, right? So Adidas Original is more like, I think, underground, more cool, like hip type of brand. And you see, like, with Adidas is that they are definitely selling to the same people that we're selling to. And they see by being exposed in these type of surroundings that it will help their image as well as potentially sales down the road. So you need to do your own research before you talk to them. And typically before we do Storm, we do have this sponsorship conference, and we invite a bunch of sponsors to check out what we have in our slate for next year and say, okay, this is available and this is close to your brand. And we actually have more product than just Storm. So we've got smaller products, even club-size shows to indoor massives and, of course, festivals that we're selling them. Okay, you could participate in this event or that event. So basically, or we package everything together.
Okay, you mentioned Adidas there, and I've got to just, obviously there was problems with the event last night. We're going back to just the challenges. I'm not sure if they mentioned it on the earlier panel, but for you as a prominent promoter, particularly in Shanghai and Beijing, how frustrating is that? How difficult is it to run events in these cities? And how kind of on top are the police and all the regulators?
Well, I think the challenge is really two main challenges. One is the regulatory. With any cities in China, and Shanghai is not the same as Beijing, not the same as Guangzhou, as we discovered this year. The local authorities there, they're really acting on their own. So of course, the laws are the same, but the people are different. So trying to get a big event, 1,000 capacity or above, done is actually quite difficult. You have to go through the hoops of getting Ministry of Cultural license. Then after that, you have to go to police and the fire department. And typically, police is the one that could, if they don't green light the show, it's done, finished. And even during the show, they could make changes that disrupts the project. I mean, I'm sure last year you came.
Yeah, these aren't regular club shows. This is when you go into a venue
large
as a
scale
one-off.
event, yes.
So
The club, when you do events in places like arenas or nightclub, it's confined territory. When you do events outside of that comfort zone, you're out, all of a sudden your next neighborhoods, residential neighborhood, or you're way out in boondocks, right? So the police will say, okay, well, because you're far away, you can have a later show compared to if you have in the city. So they do control everything. If they don't like the way it is, in the middle of in the middle of an artist's set, they could say, turn off the music for 10 minutes. It happens to me a couple of times. Okay.
And the other challenge is you mentioned to me that on your Corona Sunsets gig this year, that your stage is stuck out at sea somewhere.
Yeah, it's,
but that's not a government problem.
That's not government problem. It's the shipping company went Chapter 11, and basically it can pay for the docking fee. So
if anyone can build a stage, Eric needs a stage by October.
In 3 weeks. Okay.
Let's talk about the domestic scene. Somebody got up earlier just raving about Chase. I'm hearing a lot about Chase this week. How important is it for the growth of the scene, to drive the scene forward in the development of local artists, and how's it going?
I think for China to really have a seismic shift for dance music, we need to have a local artist that's an international hero. And obviously with Chase, I think Luce, who's in the audience before, he mentioned that he's blowing up in the last 3 months. He is. And
is this down to the music he's making or the performances he's giving?
Well, he's a hybrid of a good-looking kid, young, and producing his own music. All right, so that three things putting together actually drives his fan base. And he played at Tomorrowland this year, and he's now playing at Storm, of course, and a bunch of other events across the country. So he's getting a lot of notice this year, and I'm waiting to see how some of you guys here in the audience could take him to the next level. Because when that happens, when Chase is playing at EDC, Ultra, of course, Tomorrowland, and his track is on Billboard Top 100, if that happens, then it would be what I call the Yao Ming effect. So you've got everybody dreaming to becoming Chase, and they're going out to try to learn be a DJ, try to produce, and end up buying CDJs, equipment. So basically, the whole industry starts to thrive.
It's like the tentpole effect of just dragging up the whole awareness of the whole business. So DJ culture awareness is still relatively low for China at large. What's the scene like beyond the big cities in China?
And we've been everywhere in China. I mean, like in 2014, we did our Storm pre-parties in 80. We did 80 of them in 20 cities. So it was basically a touring set that we go and we had our own DJs. So sometimes we tour some international DJ like Eva Shaw. She came and do like 5-10 shows. Some places in South you go like you're like, where is the DJ booth? And it's on the side, and you're like, no one's gonna play on DJ booth like that. There's no LEDs, nothing. That you understand. And places like in Shanghai and Beijing, it's got a proper DJ set with LED setup and everything. The lighting's all there. And this is where you see, like in certain places, tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they really think DJ is still just an instrument, like a CD player. You push the button, make the surroundings sound great, right? But in certain places, it's the main act. So we're still waiting to see how this will change over the next couple of years. I mean, like, so when we promote different cities in China.
You said you did 80 of these parties.
80, right. Yeah.
So you could go on a 80-city tour if you really wanted to bed down in China.
You could actually. You could actually do 80 cities. We actually tour a few artists, like more than 10 cities, yeah. And you see different cultures. I mean, this is one country, but very segmented. People are very different in different cities, and especially the further out you go in tier 3, 4, 5 cities, then tier 5 is basically like Inner Mongolia, where there's like no clubs.
I want to go there. What's the appetite like, do you think, I mean, we've obviously all the presentations so far today have mentioned the obvious names, the Skrillexes, the Alessos, David Guettas. What's the appetite like for the underground in China right now? Where do you think the underground
I think it's a thriving scene. Especially in Shanghai, you've got these underground clubs.
DJ Koz is headlining a festival at the end of October, which is
I think it's a thriving scene. You start seeing underground culture in Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. Chengdu's coming up. I'm not sure about Chongqing, but I think Wuhan is another city that we're looking at. Nanjing is definitely there. So these are much smaller events, mostly hip hop driven. Some have, actually there was a promoter down here, like Luce, where are you? He's not here anymore. He's actually one of the biggest underground promoters in China. And he's been very successful in putting shows together that's about 500 to 1,000 capacity and selling them out on a regular basis. So I think with underground culture, it will help the Chinese consumers to understand what is the other genres that you have besides just big room EDM.
That's good. That's healthy. What's the? Do you see that being incorporated into Storm going forward? That you'd like to diversify that?
Well, definitely. Storm's got. It's not one stage festival, so it's 3 stages this year. So we definitely have house. We definitely have trap. So basically, we're going to different subgenres and start educating the public about. Okay, listen, this is this type of music, which is pop EDM, as David was saying before. And there's other subgenres. So they're going to start to learn more about it. But just to experience and listening to these subgenres at festival is not enough. You really, like I said, going back to the platforms, these internet platforms need to also understand that these subgenres exist. So they could also categorize and as well organize their tracks so people could easily find, say, a deep house or tech house or, I don't know, techno, trance type of music, so people could really fast understand, oh, okay, I understand, so this artist is within this genre. And education is needed here.
Some filtering, some curation. Okay, there's a job for someone in the audience there.
It's an opportunity.
Absolutely. Obviously, incredible growth over the last 3 years since Storm started. Where do you think you could be in 3 to 5 years? What's your plan? How many festivals are you actually running this year?
Including Corona Sunsets, I mean, we're doing about 10 projects this year, yeah. I think over the next couple of years, as we're seeing now, there's definitely going to be a Chinese DJ superstar coming up. And when that happens, I think the entire market is going to change. Definitely more and more people coming to China to throw festivals. I think we don't have a shortage of that. But I think we need more of a smaller type of shows, so being mid-sized to small shows, 1,000 capacity from 3 to 5,000 capacity type of events happening more. I see extreme shortage in those type of events. But then there's no shortage of all these big brands trying to come in. I'm sure next year is going to be a battleground. Like Electric Zoo announced is coming in this year, next month, and I'm sure Ultra's coming in. And we're also looking at potentially bringing somebody in as well. So I think on the festival side, I wouldn't say oversaturated. It would be oversaturating if they're all focused in Shanghai. I think it's the main city they want to go to. And if they all put their events all in the same month, I think that's a big problem. But if you could spread it out intelligently so people could actually relax and breathe and take some time off before the next craziness. And I think everybody could exist together harmoniously.
Well, the other thing is only so many acts to go around, and then
exactly. Yeah.
Do you are you still very conscious of acts diaries in terms of your planning, or are you trying to kind of just put your events on when you think you can sell the most tickets?
Well, first of all, you got to think of weather.
Yeah.
Is it too cold? Is it too warm? Is it raining all the time? It's raining every day now, which I hate. It didn't happen last year. Actually, last year it was raining one day. You got to look at the temperature. So first of all, you got to look at that major thing. Second of all, you got to think about, are there any big national holidays that are going to affect you, or is it going to help you? And third is where are the artists? Are they coming to Asia or not? So if you're talking about middle of the summer, everyone is in Europe, Ibiza. I think towards Q3 and Q4 is getting better because you've got Southeast Asia, you've got Christians Festival, Jakarta Warehouse Project, you've got Zukao in December, you've got Sunburn also in December. So when more people are buying in the region, I think it's easier to put a festival during that time period. Of course, during October now, of course, Storm is one of the main ones. So we're now trying to put more shows around October. And for our other storms, it's really September, October is when we actually put most of them.
Okay. Eric, fascinating to get a bit more of an insight into your world, conscious of time because the previous panel ran over as well. So I don't know if we've got any questions from the floor because we've got a busy afternoon. Anyone with a question for Eric? Don't be shy.
All right. Make it easy for me.
I can't have asked all the questions here. No questions?
Okay.
Don't be intimidated. Maybe you want to be booked. That's it. I think we're done. Thank you, Eric Zho.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. We've got a question.
I'm just wondering, are you going to branch out of China anytime soon?
Sorry, what's the question?
Are you going to branch out of China? Storm is going.
Oh, okay. Take it outside of China. Definitely our aspiration is like any of the international brand. We would like to go everywhere. But I think homegrown from China is our focus now because China is still a humongous market. Our next step would be Asia-Pacific first before we try to go into battleground countries like in Europe and the US where you really need to have everything prepared ahead of time. So yes, aspirationally, yes, we want to go international, but reality strikes, so we're still in China, but I think we will be going to Greater China at least next year.
Thank you.
Where's the second biggest festival? Is it Beijing or is it another?
Second biggest festival brand?
Store? No, for you, but the second after Shanghai, what's the second
actually
biggest?
Guangzhou is our second biggest one, yeah.
Any more questions? Or any questions? Okay, no, that's it. Let's wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you.